Good morning. Once again, it's Wednesday and it's time for our gathering. Time when we come together and remember who we are and who God is and how we relate to each other through our relationship with Him. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for gathering us together once again, and we ask your blessing on us. Fill us with your Spirit and fill us with your peace. Amen. Today I'm going to take a verse. It's out of the New Testament. It's out of the Gospel of Mark, and it's an incident in the life of Jesus that Mark recorded. But I'm just going to take a little piece of it. And this has to do with Jesus' encounter with a leper. And leprosy, of course, was one of those things which was very endemic in the Jewish, in all of the cultures in the Middle East in the period of time. This is back in the BC and AD era. And and it was a common thing. And matter of fact, it was Jewish law that if somebody had leprosy, you couldn't touch them. You couldn't be around them. You avoided them. They were separated from everyone else. And that's why this story is kind of interesting. And a leper came to him, to Jesus, beseeching him, and kneeling said to him, "If you will, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, he stretched out his hand and touched him. I'm going to stop there, because I think that's something that I think that we can learn from. Jesus reached out and touched him. He did the unthinkable in that culture. He did the unthinkable. Why? And what effect did it have? We can talk about the healing that is recorded, but I think there's something more important there. When Jesus saw that person, he did not see a leper. He saw a human being in need. And he knew the way that that human being would know that he was important to Jesus, but also important to God, was to reach out and touch him, acknowledge him as a human being of worth. It's too often that we separate ourselves from each other. We have labels. We have labels for just about everybody and everything, whether it's liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, you name it. There's a whole bunch of labels that we put out there every day. Sometimes the labels are racial. Sometimes the labels are nothing to do with anything except a person's nose shape. But we tend to label people. Our culture does. Why? I don't know. We have an affinity for dividing ourselves, for distinguishing ourselves from other people. But unfortunately, too often, what it comes out to is we separate ourselves, and so we don't see the other person as a human being, but as the label we put on them. People who come into the hospital, they come in with sick and diseases and things, and it's us who minister to them, who deal with them, who try our best to make them feel as people. But I think we need to remember every day as we go through our lives, we are going to come into situations where we are going to be uncomfortable, or we're going to experience situations where, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to talk? We even separate our people by how we talk to each other. When I was younger, much younger, I took a trip. I did an experiment. I was part of an experiment. And I was downtown Los Angeles on Main Street. at 11 o'clock at night. I was there from 11 to 1 a.m. and just walking. And there were people all around me. Most people were either buying or selling something, and almost none of it was legal. But I was down there, and the person with me had she had a disability. One side of her body was hard to control. And she talked, it was very difficult for her to talk. And her and I walked. And she walked, of course, with her step the way she did. And I helped her when I could, but she didn't like to be helped. She liked to do it. And at first, when I was paired up with her, she was not the one I would have picked. But as we walked down that street and she began to interact with the people around me, she didn't see them as others or something different. She saw them as people. And she began to talk to them. She began to engage them in conversation. And what amazed me was to watching her, how easy it was and how they responded to her. Because she didn't see them as drug dealers. She didn't see them as prostitutes. She didn't see them as anything but people who she wanted to know. And they responded. And I sat there in wonder, and then I caught on and said, this is what I'm supposed to do. And so I began to do the same thing. And when 1 o'clock came around, we weren't done. We could have spent the night doing what we were doing. Talking to people, learning about people, meeting people. They knew we weren't buying. They knew we weren't selling. That was obvious. And yet they were so eager to talk to us because we saw them as people. How often we see people and we see something about them and we judge them according to that. How often we separate ourselves from people because they said something or they did something that we disagree with. What if we put that aside and saw them as God sees them, as people worthy to be loved, worthy to be touched, however that might be, whether it's with words, whether it's with a listening ear, but people who we think are worthy to be acknowledged as a person that we want to know, and the difference that makes. You know, that changes lives. That changes lives. I've always loved this verse because it reminds me that I'm not called to do anything but be open to seeing people as valuable in the sight of God. We're all called to see each other as valuable in the sight of God. When we do that, lives change. And it's a part of healing. Let's pray. God, bless us today. Bless us as we go through our lives, go through the hallways, go through the rooms, go into the rooms. And Lord, help us to see each person as someone who needs to know that they are loved, or that at least they are seen as people who are loved by God. Amen. God bless you, and I'll see you next week.